Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to talk about something that comes up a lot in marriages, and that's if you have different intimacy levels, needs, desires, and what to do about it. Let's say that maybe one of you is more interested, one of you could care less, or you're struggling to meet in the middle with these differences, and maybe there's guilt that's come up or resentment, or it's just causing a lot of contention between the two of you. That's what we're going to talk about today. So if that is something that you relate to, make sure that you keep watching. Hi, I'm Catherine, a licensed therapist and a virtual coach, and today I'm answering a question that was sent in previously by you. Before I jump in, please make sure that you subscribe and like this video. It's a really simple, free way for you to support me as I provide this free coaching for you, so I really appreciate that. So here's the question that was previously sent in, and first I really want to normalize that there can definitely be differences in your marriage when it comes to intimacy. The desires, the needs that you have, all of that can definitely be different between the two of you, and I just want to make sure that you understand that's like very normal. It doesn't have to mean something detrimental about you or your spouse or your marriage, but definitely is something to talk through and work through so that it's not a point of contention between the two of you. There's no right amount of SMECs that a couple needs. I'm being careful with how to say that because I don't want to be flagged or something like that, just to clarify that. But what matters most is that you navigate it together and continually keep the conversation open so that as changes come or as even external things in your marriage, grief or loss or having a baby, like all of that influences this intimacy part of your marriage too. So we just want to keep those lines of communication open. If you're feeling disconnected from your spouse or you just feel like this is another thing on the to-do list, it can make sense that SMECs would be difficult to figure out how to come to a middle ground between the two of you. But the good news is there is a positive way to move forward without just feeling like you have to do it or like hurting the other person or anything like that. Before trying to jump to solutions, it's really important to kind of take a step back, get a bird's eye view about some of the root causes of what might be going on. It's important to ask why you feel a certain way. Like the certain question that was sent in says that the wife really doesn't care. So it's really important to get curious, to learn more about yourself. When we have deeper self-understanding and can really grasp why things are, it can really help us and our relationship. So that's a really good place to start. Here's a couple questions to consider. Has your interest in SMECs lowered recently, or has it always been lower? Are there any underlying stressors that need to be considered? Like exhaustion, mental load, like I said, any external changes that might be occurring that would impact this kind of lack of desire or lack of care? Do you feel emotionally connected to your spouse outside of the bedroom? And then are there any like unspoken rules or expectations that are making it feel really uncomfortable and difficult and kind of turning it into like an obligation versus a desire? All of those things are really kind of something to help get your brain thinking about the root causes and why you're feeling the way that you feel. It's also really important to kind of reframe what intimacy and connection can look like to begin with. So something that can really help is moving the concept of intimacy from just SMECs alone to overall emotional intimacy. And like that's why one of the questions is, do you feel emotionally connected outside of the bedroom? Because that's a really important thing. Most of our days are spent doing things and, all the mundane things of life and taking care of children or chores or whatever. And so it's really important to evaluate, do we feel emotionally connected outside of this one particular part of our lives? If you are only feeling like intimacy is intercourse, that can create pressure and is honestly missing the mark for what overall intimacy should be in a marriage. A lot of times when you build stronger connection outside of the bedroom, it can bring a deeper desire for that and really just help things be at a healthier level. So some things to really help with this is to prioritize non-sexual touch. Hugging, kissing, holding hands, shoulder rubs, back rubs, foot rubs, just little lighthearted, playful things that you can do throughout your days that bring you connection without it having to mean more. Spending quality time together without distractions is also really huge. I'm a first-time mom, and so my son is almost 7 months old at this point. So, I get that life is busy and free time is very very far and few between, especially if you have kids. But something my husband and I do is we prioritize a once a month date night. That's just what is realistic in our life right now. We actually had our date night last night. So we have my parents, either we go to their house or they come to our house and they watch our son for us. And we just go spend time together and we talk and we drink coffee and we go to dinner, whatever the things are that we're gonna do. But that quality time opens up conversations and ways for us to deepen our connection, which is really a huge piece of the puzzle of your relationships. I would really encourage you to think about, what is that looking like? Is that something that needs to be improved upon for your marriage? It's also really important to communicate specifically about intimacy. Have you guys talked about your needs and desires? Have you talked about things that you like and don't like? Is that a conversation that you guys are having? Or is it just this like inward thing or this frustration that's built up because like, oh, they're not interested, or oh, they don't care about me? Like, have you really had a heart-to-heart about it? And that needs to also include heart-to-heart about emotional connection. If you as the wife are feeling very distant and not emotionally connected, and you're like, maybe that's really why it's hard for me to care about physical intimacy, then think about what is a way that you could feel more emotionally connected. And I would kind of just start with that side of things and talk back and forth, what does your husband need? And if you're at a place that like physically, I just cannot really get in the mood right now, okay, what is something that would still show your husband that you care about and love him in that way? Maybe that is longer hugs, maybe that is making out, but it doesn't have to be something more. Just having that conversation where you guys can meet in the middle and really figure out like, okay, I get that you're not fully where I am at in terms of wanting to participate in this as much, but I respect that you're wanting to try. And so like, having that dialogue just really helps prevent resentment and frustration, but there's like this deeper understanding that, okay, we really do want this part of our marriage to be stronger, and so what can I do to help you and what can you do to help me? Sometimes naturally when that emotional connection deepens, so does that physical intimacy. Now, when it comes to actual physical intimacy, actual sex, something really important to keep in mind is it can be really helpful to lean on quality over quantity. Sometimes as a wife, we can, if our sex drive is lower, not really think about it as much. And so it can feel like a chore, like one more thing to do. And it's not because we don't love our spouse, we don't love our husband. But again, if that desire is just at a different place, it can just feel kind of like overwhelming, especially if you're just like really exhausted or stressed, or like there's all external things going on, making it more difficult. And so if you can focus on having this time together be really, really quality, then less frequent might be okay for both of you. Again, that's something to really talk about, but that is something that works for a lot of couples that could be considered for you. Make sure that you're communicating your needs honestly. I know I just referred to that, but this is a really important part of being able to get to a place that you desire more physical intimacy, is if you're talking about it. So maybe, sitting down and just asking what their needs are, talking about what your needs are and where you're at, and that could be something that helps bridge the gap between I don't care at all to actually I am a little bit more interested, but maybe it's still not to your level, and that's okay. Like, there may always be a difference, but it needs to be at a healthier level for both of you is what it sounds like. Explore alternatives. So again, intimacy doesn't have to just look one way. Maybe there's things that are boring and you want to spice it up, and that would help make you want to be more interested or make you feel closer together. So talking through it and figuring out like, what does intimacy need to look like for both of you? And then making sure that you're compromising with care, because it's not that one person has to just, throw their hands up and not get what they want or need. It's about talking through it and trying to meet in the middle so that, again, each person's needs are being met. And even if it's in different seasons, like if, a wife is postpartum, that is not going to be the top priority, and it can't be. Healing has to be, and figuring out all of the needs that you have for your baby. And so realizing that sometimes these differences, if they feel like the gap is larger, could be just for a season, but you don't want it to not be talked about, because then that's how you accidentally blink and you're like, wow, we haven't had sex in like 6 months, something like that. So keeping the conversation alive is really important. Something that also works for other people is scheduling it. And I understand for some people, they're like, oh, I don't want to do that. That doesn't feel romantic. It just feels robotic. But I would think about it like this. If you plan a date night, usually when it's time for the date night, I would hope that you're not like, oh gosh, like we have to go out to dinner and eat hot food and not have our conversations be interrupted by our kids or whatever it is. Like you're still excited about it even though it was planned. And so if there's like a resistance to the concept of planning intimacy, I would say just try it. Give yourself, 2 to 3 weeks, 1 month or whatever, and see how you feel. It might still be something that you're like, I'm not really a big fan of it. That's fine, at least you tried. But it also might be something that you're like, wow, that was actually really good for us. And it's meeting the needs of both of us. Maybe for the wife, it helps mentally for you to get excited and ready. And for the husband, something to know and anticipate, like it's coming, and it's not going to just be this like, is this ever going to happen? Is this ever going to happen? So that could be something that really benefits your marriage if you're willing to try it. Another way to help build that intimacy in your marriage, again, not just in the bedroom, but just in your whole relationship, would be utilizing a resource that I have called the 30-Day Romance Challenge. So every day for 30 days, you're going to get daily simple prompts that are going to help you build that connection and overall intimacy and romance in your marriage. Keep in mind it's made for busy couples with a full schedule, because I understand that we don't have hours and hours to do something about it every day, but we do have minutes. And so utilizing those minutes wisely, and sometimes it's easier if someone just gives it to you. Do this today, knowing that it's compounding over time to help deepen that intimacy in your relationship. So if that's something that you need, you can sign up with the link that is in the description below. I hope that helps you. I know it can just kind of scratch the surface. There's a lot of different things when it comes to intimacy that could be talked about, but this is a really great first place to start. If you realize there's a difference in your intimacy desires and levels, and you're trying to meet in the middle, start with all the things that I talked about. If this was helpful for you, please make sure that you like this video, subscribe so that you can get the next videos that come out, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks again so much for watching.